Hi, Kevin Coop here, and this is FaceTime with the Content Guy. I'm coming to you this morning from Redondo Beach, California. That used to be an Albertsons, now it's a Hagen. Soon it's going to be closed and converted to something else. So I come this morning not to bury Hagen, but to praise it. Actually, that's not true. But I really don't want to dump on Hagen either. I just had a chance to wander through that store, and it's actually pretty depressing. There's an awful lot, as you would expect. There's an awful lot of out of stocks in there, although there are no signs saying it's going out of business. But there's a lot of empty shelves. There are more employees in there than there are customers. And let me tell you something, there are not a lot of employees. The fresh foods, not looking all that fresh. It's pretty bad. There's a couple little things that are being stocked up, putting milk out. But other than that, it's a pretty depressing thing. And I have to tell you, in my life, when I was younger and I worked in retail, I went through 2 or 3 different going out of business sales, and there's nothing more depressing. If you have an emotional investment in the retailers where you're working, and I always did, man, it was like ripping your heart out. It was just one of the worst experiences ever. But one of the things I get occurs to me as I walk through that store, and I was familiar with the store when it was an Albertsons, and I have to say, it was not a great Albertsons and it's not a great Hagen. Despite the fact that the signs inside say things like higher standards, you don't really see it. But I think there's a bigger lesson here for every retailer, and that's that, let's forget all the FTC stuff. Let's forget the very fast rollout. Let's forget all the circumstances that may have doomed this enterprise from the start. Ultimately, when you walk in that store, even if you can imagine the shelves being filled and the food being fresh, there's really nothing special about it. There's nothing about that store that says, okay, we are different. And one thing you could say about the Hagen stores in the Pacific Northwest, they were different. They had a certain something, a je ne sais quoi about them. I don't know that they were, fabulous stores, but they were certainly had their niche. They said what they were. They had a narrative, and this store has absolutely no narrative. And I have no idea how you could fix that. What they could have done differently. In the Pacific Northwest, they call them Northwest Fresh Stores. Well, maybe here they should have called them California Fresh Stores. Maybe they should have done something with the inside, so it doesn't just look like a store with somewhat different signage than the place that went there before. It would have cost more money. It would have taken more time, but maybe they would have had an outside chance at success. You walk in that store now, as depressing as it is, I have a feeling it wasn't all that much less depressing when it was up and running and had just gotten started as a Hagen store. I hate to dump on Hagen. I get, in a lot of ways, the cards were stacked against them, but maybe they were playing a game that was rigged. Anyway, that's what's on my mind this Thursday morning. And as always, I want to hear what's on your mind.